The Evolution, Sports Talk Television live here nightly. All Bucs report. It's the Sports Lab. I'm your host, Peter Blake, giving you something to think about on tonight's show. Bring your passion, bring your excitement. Just don't bring any nonsense. Will you shut up and be quiet? Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome back to another edition of the Evolution of Sports Talk Television here live on a Friday night. It's the Sports Web, brought to you by Advanced Auto Parts. I'm your host, Peter Blake, giving you something to think about. And how do we start off this Friday night edition of the Sports Web? Well, first and foremost, your Tampa Bay Buccaneers are still world champions, Super Bowl champions. Let's just put that out there. Nothing has changed. And of course, here on the web, bring your passion, bring your excitement. Just don't bring any nonsense. On tonight's show, we will have ABC Action News' meteorologist, Mr. Dennis Phillips, on with us, talking about what else the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. We may have Joshua Cole Allen on in a little bit. We'll have Harry the Greek, my professional handicapper. And then as always, if I can talk, we'll have your phone calls. Getting so excited. 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. How are we feeling tonight? Are we feeling good? I kind of feel a little bit sore. I'm not going to lie here. I feel like a toy soldier, like I can't move my arms because I've been getting back into the gym. And when you get back into the gym, you start to get really sore. And that's how I feel tonight. Not sore enough to miss this show, but sore enough when I move my hands and my arms around, I can feel it. So if you see me, I kind of tinge a little bit, that's my fault. Stay in the gym. I'll just say that at this point. Stay in the gym and get as much protein as you can get. All right, that's my PSA. Of course, we had baseball season start this week. If you want to talk a little baseball, I'm not against it. We don't usually do it on this show, but if you want to, we can. And of course, we could talk about your Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And the big stories this week, of course. Leonard Fournette's presser after re-signing. Jason Light's presser. Bruce Arians' presser. Bruce Arians' tattoo. There's a question for you. And I wanted to ask this on the over-under on Wednesday night. I wanted to get to this. Would you get a Bucs tattoo? Have you gotten a Bucs tattoo? Because when you see 68-year-old Bruce Arians with the tattoo, I'm kind of feeling a little froggy. Maybe that's the reason why I got back into the gym in the first place. Get the arms a little bit bigger. Put a Bucs tattoo on that left arm. Not the right one because I already got a tattoo of a spider. Just saying. Let me take a drink. I'm kind of wondering, would you get a Bucs tattoo? Have you gotten one? Let's change it up a little bit. Doesn't have to be all serious tonight here on Friday night. What did you think of that tattoo? I thought it was pretty cool. And then, of course, Tom Brady with the post, the April Fool's joke, which I don't necessarily think a lot of Rays fans appreciated, with the Rays moving to Montreal, or baseball going back to Montreal, not necessarily the Rays. Well, we kind of know what he's saying, right? And then showing he got a tattoo, which he really didn't, because it's Tom Brady. So what do you think? What do you think about all the sound that has come out from Bruce Arians and Jason Light? Because we covered a little bit over on the over-under with Harry the Greek, my professional handicapper. Wow, look at this. We're going to be graced by somebody right now coming into the back room here. So we'll probably try to get him on in just a little bit. If you don't know what happens if you say something good, I'm going to go ahead and put also give you a Ric Flair whoa. Because we're actually, what are we, just a week away from WrestleMania? Yeah, that's right. I watch wrestling. Don't judge me. You know you watch it still, even if it's not as good as it used to be. Coming to Tampa Bay. So I'll give you a Ric Flair woo if you say something cool. Just saying. I'll give you a boo if you troll me. Or I'll give you a buzzer right there. But I definitely don't want to hear this tonight, because there's so much to talk about. We're less than a month away to the NFL draft. Who do you want to see the Bucs draft? Is it a running back? Is it a defensive tackle? Is it a defensive end? Is it a cornerback? Is it a not a cornerback, a quarterback? Is it any of those? Get on the phone line. 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. Let me go out to the webheads here. Of course, what's the difference between this show and everybody else's show? What's the evolution? You can text in. You can call in. You can participate. I'll give you an opportunity to say what you want to say. I'm not going to hang up on you. I'm not going to make you wait 20 minutes to say it for 2 minutes and then get you off. That's not how we go here. Just don't make it a long thing and don't disrespect me, and we'll be cool. And if you do again, I'll go ahead and troll you right back. I'm an equal opportunity player here on the sports web. All right, sign AB already. They have not. We heard about the latest on that from the press conference from Bruce Arians. He's looking at other offers. Of course, Jason Light had some things to say about that. They haven't ruled it out yet. In fact, we're going to see what we can do on a couple fronts. What does that mean? Does that mean a restructuring of some contracts possibly coming down the pike? I mean, why would you rule it out with Jason Light? Why would you rule it out with Mike Greenberg? You wouldn't. Light said also, I don't think it's ever done. Of course, this follows the comments from Mike Garafolo of the NFL Network, saying the Bucs right now are not close on financial terms. Everybody's, oh, AB's gone. He's gone. He may be gone. No. Got Jason Light. You got this Bucs organization. They're going to come to some type of agreement. And if they don't, then it's not like, it's the end of the world, right? I mean, you got Tyler Johnson. You got Scotty Miller. There's a possibility you could draft somebody. There's a possibility you could get a Larry Fitzgerald if he's cut by the Arizona Cardinals. So it's not like the end of the world. It's not. I love AB's talent. I love his ability. I love what he brought to this team. Make no mistake about it. 45 catches, really got into the groove in that second half of the year. I like to see him have a full year with Tom Brady and Mike Evans and Chris Godwin like everybody else. But if he goes somewhere else and he gets more money, salute to him. Good luck. I don't necessarily think that the foundation of that team that he goes to besides the Bucs is going to be that good. And furthermore, I don't think he's going to be that successful. I don't. He's going to be more successful here with Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Just my opinion. So we'll see how that works. Super Bowl champs, absolutely. Roger Shue, Fat Finger, Edges Troll in the house. I know who you are, Roger. Absolutely. Can we talk soccer if you like to? And then I can go ahead and do this. could change the subject. You could talk about soccer, WNBA, basketball. It doesn't necessarily mean I'm going to talk back to you. I may give you this. I mean, you ever seen dead air? You ever seen somebody talk and have dead air? I mean, I just fall asleep. Just go to sleep here. I told you I was already sore. So I'm down for it. So if you want to talk some soccer and put me to sleep, go for it. But I'm not going to talk soccer. I'm sorry. Quit messing around. Went from Buck, what you heard, to the Sports Web. What a great offseason Friday night. I'm telling you. I mean, Bucs Report has you loaded. Locked and bare. They do. Roger Shue says, hell no, never. Greg Owen says, I've had a Bucs tattoo and added the trophies this year. Good. That's the question for the night. I know it sounds silly, but I'm kind of in the mood to be silly, right? Would you get a Bucs tattoo? Yes or no? 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. Let's go out to Mr. Gene Thomas of Buck What You Heard with the Tampa Bay BAE. And you got your championship belt, so I know you're ready for WrestleMania, right, brother?
You got that right, man. You know what? Here we go. Tampa Bay Buccaneers are Super Bowl champions. Don't ever forget that.
Yes, absolutely.
I wanted to make that clear. But while I'm here, I do want to talk about some of the things that you had mentioned with Antonio Brown. We know what you've had with Antonio Brown. I would love to see some of these other wide receivers and how they've improved working with Tom Brady. I understand that, it's possible that AB may move on. I don't think he does. I think you have to have faith in Jason Light. I believe when Bruce Arians says your ass isn't going anywhere, I tend to believe it just based on all the moves that the Bucs have made. I don't think the moves are done being made right now. I think you could see Ryan Jensen make some kind of contract change there at some point. I just don't think that AB is gone from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I think that is a potential possibility that he comes back. If not, I believe that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have something in place to where this team is ready, as somebody mentioned in the last show, locked and loaded. They're ready to do their thing this year coming up. So I'm excited. I'm going to sit back and enjoy the ride. This is one of the few years that we've been able to sit back and say, we don't have to go out for need. We don't have to go out to free agency for need at this point. We can enjoy this offseason and get ready for the draft and take the best player available on the board.
Who would you like to see them take? I know what the politically correct answer is. I just want to sit back.
I want to see them continue to address the trenches.
Okay.
Whether on the offensive side of the ball, offensive line, or defensive line. This is something the Bucs have never been able to consistently do. But where they are right now, I love it. This is an opportunity for the Buccaneers to continue to improve on what they have right now and set themselves up for years to come. We didn't have this when the Bucs won the Super Bowl the last time. We didn't even have a first round pick when the Bucs won the Super Bowl the last time. And what they've done with the cap, what they've done with the with free agency, I think the Bucs are in a lot better position here. And I just suggest to people, sit back and enjoy the ride, because you never know. We could see another one of these right here in One Buck Place.
And I've already said this last Friday night. I put it out there. I said Super Bowl or bust last March. I'm saying Super Bowl or bust right now. They win the Super Bowl. I don't care who they face. They've set themselves up. And I want to go out to what the Glazer said, namely Joel Glazer with the presser yesterday. He says, when we look at the future and where the cap will continue to grow and the team we have, the players that we extended, yes, maybe some of the structure has changed, but we do have an eye to the future. Mm-hmm. At the same token, we do feel that there is a window now, and it's all about winning championships. So we want to give it our best shot, but we definitely have an eye to the future. We do not believe that we are causing terrible problems in the future. And fans out there, they have criticized the Glazers in the past, and this is what I absolutely love. These comments right here tell you everything you need to know about their commitment to win and a commitment to win another championship. Your thoughts?
You know what? All the slander that they've gotten over the years, all the malicious comments, they didn't care about this team. They cared more about the Manchester United, blah, blah, blah. The proof is in the pudding. Right now, you got two, not one, but you got 2 Super Bowl trophies over there at One Bug Place now. So again, this shows you how they've been committed to doing the right thing. Unfortunately, they've made some bad choices along the way, but I think they found the error of their ways and they fixed that. And we can see that with the Bucs having another Super Bowl championship. Again, as I've mentioned before, I'm going to continue to mention this because anything that you have to say about the Glazers, all I have to do is hold this up right here. There you go. I think that they are committed. I love how they've handled business, leaving it up to the general manager and the head coach, and left that up to them to how they run this team. They're not the Jerry Joneses or the Daniel Snyders, but they will put money in this team if they feel like that's what needs to be done. And we can see where this has worked out for them in the positive, getting a Bruce Arians, then bringing in, well, let me start from the beginning. Jason Light, then getting a Bruce Arians, then you get a Tom Brady, and just the trickle-down effect from there has been nothing short of amazing. I'm excited about this team. I'm excited about the offseason. I haven't been this excited ever that we are where we are and we're able to do what we're doing right now. So, fans, sit back and enjoy the ride. You don't have to be right, but all you want to make sure of is that the Bucs have everything they need going into the regular season.
And we're on with the champ right now. A buck what you heard, Mr. Gene Thomas here on the Evolution of Sports Talk Television, the Sports Web. I'm your host, Peter Blake, giving you something to think about. Going to the Jason Light comments, he was asked about it, and he had this to say: there are some corrections that are going to have to take place at some point down the road, right, but we're not putting ourselves in the position where next year we have to release a lot of good players. We're going to be in good shape if we continue to just make sure that we make smart decisions and we do things right. We're going to be competing for years to come. Also goes on to talking about adding 40 years to contracts. That's been something that's been done for a long time with different teams, and you see it too this year. A lot of teams are using it this year. It's something that we talked about for a few years here in terms of our cap situation, our future cap situation, the way we've done contracts. We said if we ever get to a point where we have a really good team and an excellent team that we have, we need to start doing this using the voidable years and kicking it down the road a little bit, then we would. And we're in position where we're able to do that this year.
You know, what's exciting about this real quick, when you look at the New Orleans Saints and the dumpster fires that they've had in this offseason, they are, it remains to be seen. But when I look at the players that they've had to let go of, players that have had to adjust their contracts just so they can keep certain players, it really makes me appreciate what Jason Light has done, because they're not having to kick the can down the road for a decade. They're like, okay, we may have had to do this year, but when you look at the level of talent that they've had, they've won a Super Bowl. So they've shown how this will be beneficial doing this year. They're setting themselves up to compete again for another Super Bowl. But, when you look at teams like New Orleans, Mickey Loomis and their crew over there and how they've had to kick the can down the road and it's finally come back to bite them now, I think, in years to come, they're still going to be affected by this. It makes you appreciate the general manager that you have.
Yeah, no, it really does. It makes you appreciate the ownership, the coach, of course, Bruce Arians talking about it, talking about Antonio Brown, of course, talking about the tattoo. I brought that up. How cool was it? I get it. It's not serious, but how cool was it to see BA with the tattoo at 68 years old? And of course, it was the Super Bowl trophy for Super Bowl 55. And would you ever think about, Gene Thomas, getting a Bucs tattoo? Because honestly, I kind of feel a little bit froggy to do it. Oh, you've already got one. Would you get another one for Super Bowl 55? Yes or no?
Absolutely. I'm working on it right now. People buy art for their houses. For me, I carry my art with me. And I tell you what, man, I'm going through my head. What kind of tattoo do I want to show the 2 Lombardi trophies and, the 813? I love this. I mean, to me, Tampa is the jewel of, when you talk about the Bay Area, that's the jewel of the East Coast, to be honest, man. And, Champa Bay, as you want to call it, or, Championship City or whatever, with the Lightning and with the Bucs, I appreciate it. And I want to show my support for, what's going on here. I love it. I think it's great.
Yeah, I love it too. I absolutely love it. I think it's rubbed off not only on the Tampa Bay Lightning, somewhat on the Tampa Bay Rays making it to the World Series, although we'll see.
I hate Stu, though.
When
no offense. I hate Stu. He's a jerk.
Yeah, well, I agree with you on that. I completely agree, and I'll definitely address that because I know there's some people who definitely want to talk about it. Hell no, never, says Roger Shue. I think Greg said he has one. Roger Shue, no. Bucs tattoo. I'm here listening, but I probably won't comment much because I got a bad headache. It's beginning to ease. Well, that's good. I'm hoping that does ease. No Bucs tat ever, Roger Shue. Okay, you made it clear.
I've got one for me and you, Roger Shue. Don't worry, bro. I got you covered.
Excellent. Okay, here we go with John. I've seen several mocks already. Bolton, OC, but one today I saw Travis Etienne. Do you think you take him if he's available? Your thoughts, and then I'll give mine.
I'm not big on drafting a running back in the first round, but I do believe that there are teams desperate enough to grab somebody like him. He's a very unique talent. I can't put him on the same level as a Dalvin Cook, but I think that he would be a very big benefit for whatever team drafts him. It just comes down to, longevity and how that all works. I mean, you look at players like Saquon Barkley and Ezekiel Elliott, who were drafted in the first round. Yep. And then you look at players that were drafted like a Nick Chubb, Alvin Kamara. And, I can't think of the running back for the Titans, Derrick Henry. All not drafted in the first round. I just do not believe that it's a wise move to draft a running back in the first round, but I can see teams that are desperate enough to do it. So you never know what's going to happen. This is going to be a very unique draft, especially for the Buccaneers. When you look back on OJ Howard was supposed to be a number 9 pick. He was not supposed to drop lower than number 10, and he ended up at number 19. So the draft in itself is going to be very unique. I think you're going to see some spoilers, and we are going to see a player that nobody expected to be down at the bottom of the draft that's going to fall for the Bucs. So I really believe that's what's going to happen is there's going to be somebody that's going to fall, and the Bucs are going to pick them up.
Yeah, and I agree with you on that. You just never know, especially picking at 32. But, it's a luxury at this point. To answer your question, John, if Travis Etienne is there, I wouldn't draft him, although he's a special talent, unless the Bucs are saying, you know what, we're not sure if we're going to have one of these running backs back this year. We're not sure if we believe in a victim of volume and a Ronald Jones, who is a free agent coming in after this year. You have a Leonard Fournette who's going to be a free agent. Of course, you drafted a Keyshawn Vaughn. We heard from Coach Arians about Vaughn. What were your thoughts? And kind of foreshadowing maybe that Vaughn is going to be more involved in this offense and have more carries. What do you say?
I'm happy with that. I think that whatever puts the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in a position to win a game is who you have on the field. I don't care about who starts. I don't care about who comes off the bench. I don't care about who gets a few reps. Whoever is your best available player, play them and let's see what they do. I'm not worried about, you hear, and when you get on social media, oh, he's a starter, he's not a starter. You know what? If he gets in the game and makes a play, if he extends the play, if he moves the chains, if he helps, stretch out the clock, those are what you really need to worry about, not who starts or who finishes. So to me, I don't care. I think we have a great running back room. When you talk about Rojo, when you talk about Leonard Fournette, when you talk about Keyshawn Vaughn, we saw flashes from him. I hope that he would get the snaps that a Shady McCoy would have taken away from him. And I just want to see what this team does. I think they will be successful, especially in the running game. I've never been this excited about the running back room. Going back to Doug Martin in 2015?
Yeah, 2015. I think that's the year he went over 1,000 yards and then got the contract. And then after that, it was downhill. We're on with Gene Thomas of Buck, which you heard, which can be seen and heard here Friday nights at 7 o'clock live on Bucs Report. Just got done doing a show here. What up, Peter, my man? What's going on? Smilegate. Andrew Fulbert, the big board out of Canada. Evening, gents. Happy Easter weekend. Happy Easter to you. John says, so you go with an edge. Yeah, John, I would definitely go with an edge. I would go with a defensive tackle. with the loss of Ryan Smith.
The trenches where you want to address the trenches.
Yeah.
And I think the Bucs have something big going on right now. If we go back to 2003, we look at 2003 to 2018, the Bucs had like five, and five, what was it? Five defensive tackles, defensive linemen. And that was it from 2003 to the present, or to that time. And now what you're seeing is a dominant force on both sides of the trenches. We saw that in the playoffs where the defensive line was dominant and the offensive line was dominant. And that's what you want to continue to build on right there. And this will keep this team competitive for years to come.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree with you on that. And that's where, New Orleans, give them credit, even though they're not able to win a Super Bowl in that time. You're drafting offensive linemen, you're drafting defensive tackles. You're doing that every year. You have that rotation so you can sustain those losses in free agency. When you lose a good offensive lineman or you lose a good defensive tackle, you could just replace them with the draft picks that you drafted.
You're exactly right. That's exactly kind of where I was going with that. I think it's important to keep that kind of thing in mind. I love what when you look at Bruce Arians and you look at that coaching staff, you look at the the talent evaluators. These are all things the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have not had for a long time, and now you have a squad of coaches, talent evaluators that work in tandem with your general manager. I love what they're doing here, and I hope Tampa can continue to do this.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. Let's go back out to the comments here. Roger Shue says Bears 0-17. He's not too happy with Andy Dalton being the starting quarterback of the Bears, although
the Red Rooster.
the red rifle, but yeah, Red Rooster. What about
whatever, man? You know what I mean.
I know what you meant. It was definitely the Red Rooster last year, not the Red Rifle for the Cowboys, and the Cowboys got rid of him. But Sar says, what about Trask in the second or the third round? Were you surprised by those comments from BA that they would be open? Of course, what is he going to say? But I think I was a little bit surprised that they were open to drafting and going quarterback. Do you think if there's a Trask on the board or somebody like that the Bucs would consider drafting and going quarterback so they could develop him for the next, 2, 3, 4 years, whenever Tom Brady decides to retire until he's 50? Who knows?
This is the beautiful thing right now. The Bucs are in a position where they don't have to draft for need. So they can look at all these different players that we've never had a chance to say, okay, you know what? He might help us in the long term. I believe that there are so many options out there available. I mean, when you consider free agency, who knows? The Bucs may be able to get a free agent quarterback that can come in and pick up where Tom Brady left off. We don't know the direction that they're really looking at, but what I can say, better the devil you know than the devil you don't know.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what I'm looking at here. If there's somebody available at free agency and the Bucs can continue this role, I could see that happening. However, if there is that quality quarterback that you think this is the guy that we could pick up the mantle and carry it, that's the guy you want to go with as well. So we don't know what they're going to do, but I do know that quarterback is not out of the realm of possibility here.
Yeah, no, I agree with you on that, and I'm absolutely okay with drafting a Kyle Trask if the Bucs feel like it. But I think the key suggestion or the key word was, if there's 5 or 6 players on the board and we feel like that player is ahead of them, then we're going to draft him. If not, then we're going to go with the best player available, and that could be an offensive lineman. That could be certainly a corner. You look at Ryan Smith this week signing with the Chargers. A lot of people say, not a big deal. It's a special teams ace there, and also you lose a little bit of depth. And then on top of it, you have Carlton Davis, Jamel Dean, and of course, Sean Murphy-Bunting. But then after that, do you re-sign a Ross Cockrell? So the chances are the Bucs could go in that direction also, but possibly a corner, as crazy as it sounds.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, I believe you have to believe in Bruce Arians right now. If your general manager work with your head coach to bring you a Super Bowl championship, that's what you have to believe in. They watch 10 times more film than me and you put together. They have an idea that if there's a quarterback available, they're going to take care of it. If there's not a quarterback available, they're going to take care of the best player available for this team to help this team win. So don't think for 1 minute that the Bucs are not looking at quarterback as a potential landing spot for them. But at the end of the day, they're going to do what's best for this team, first and foremost, to get back to the Super Bowl in Los Angeles and win it. But if there's an opportunity to get a quarterback, bring him along and groom him, that's what they're going to do. But again, that's why you kind of have to sit back and enjoy the ride. All the social media GMs out there, just take a deep breath, relax. Jason Light has this. Trust me. When I tell you this, he has this. And I'm sure that he's looking at quarterbacks along the way. So don't think that he's not just because you don't hear it in the news or social media. Don't think for 1 minute that he's not looking at the opportunity to make this team better. He's always looking at this opportunity to make the team better.
Absolutely. I tell you what, John says Patrick Robinson from Pitt. That's another player who's going to replace Brady. Need a good quarterback to do it. I'm amazed, though, and I go back to, again, the Glazers' comments. Look, he says they said it best. At the same token, we do feel like there is a window now. It's all about winning championships, so we want to give our best shot, but we definitely have our eye to the future. So it's not like they don't have their eyes to the future, but still, at the end of the day, this window is wide open with the Tom Brady and re-signing all these players. So, again, I don't know what the rush is. But again, we'll let it play out. Jeremiah says, hello to everyone. What's going on, Jeremiah? Harry the Greek is in the lobby. You want to get Harry up here?
Young Harry, how you doing, my friend?
What's happening, my brothers?
How you doing? And we were just talking about the Glazers' comments and, of course, Jason Light and what he had to say, which was interesting in itself. And, going back to the Glazers in so many words, they basically are telling fans out there we're committed to winning a championship, but not only that, we're not scared of the future because we also have our eyes to the.
What happened to my video? Sorry, Peter.
Yeah, that's okay. That's all right. I don't know.
Just 1 second there, guys.
All right, so let's go ahead and.
Wow, this ain't good.
Well, let me go ahead and get you out of here. We'll put you in the lobby. I'll tell you what, we'll go back out to you, and then I'm going to go out to Dennis Phillips of ABC Action News. If you want to hang out in the lobby or you just want to go for the night, great job on your show. Once again, go ahead and promote yourself, my friend.
Hey, I appreciate everybody that's checking me out, everybody that's checking out Bucs Report. Bucs Report is amazing. Shout out to Smack Apparel. My guys at Smack Apparel, the Brady Bucs and some of the other shirts that they've done. I appreciate you guys as well. I do want to say Peter does an amazing show. I eventually will have him on. You can find me at Buck What You Heard. Be sure to check me out on Wednesdays and Fridays. If you call in, I will get you on. If I know you, I will get you on the show. I'll shoot you the link and you can come on and hang out with me, that kind of thing. Again, the Bucs are Super Bowl champions. If you don't believe that, you can look at this right here. And that's just what it is right here, my friend. Enjoy the Tampa Bay Buccaneers being Super Bowl champs, my friend. Enjoy it.
Absolutely.
And come all the time. Take advantage of it. Milk it until the end of the season. We are defending Super Bowl champions. Enjoy it. And
absolutely. I tell you right now, if you don't have me on your show soon, I'm going to put you through a table, jabroni.
You know what? WrestleMania is coming, my friend.
I know.
And I'm bringing the championship with me.
You're bringing that championship. I'm going to put you through the table and take that championship away. He is the people's champ here on Bucs Report. That's Mr. Gene Thomas of Buck What You Heard. Thanks a lot for your time, boss. All right?
All right, my friend. Take it easy.
All right, man. There you go. I had to give him the people's champ, although I think there's a lot of people who say I'm the people's champ. I'm the part of the evolution of sports talk television. Want to go out to some comments. What's up? Says Sitton, and Amanda Clark says, sounding great, Peter H. Blake. Thank you very much, Miss Clark, for tuning in to the evolution of sports talk television. If you want to get on the phone lines in just a little bit, because we're about to have Dennis Phillips of ABC Action News, our meteorologist and also sports broadcaster here on Bucs Report. 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. So let me go back out to the webheads and then I'll get out to Dennis Phillips. I think we should draft Quinn Menards. I believe that's the center. Is it not? So that's certainly a possibility. Would you guys listen to a trade for OJ Howard? The thing with OJ Howard here, Sean, is that he's not even 100% yet. BA talked about this on Wednesday. He's 80 to 85%. So I'm not sure how much value he has at the end of the day. And then on top of it, the Bucs invested a number 1 pick, right? He's a first-round pick selection. Do you want to really trade him off without seeing him reach his full potential? And he may never do that because he's not able to stay healthy consistently. But we've seen when he can stay healthy, he's unbelievable. Let's go out to Angel here. Forget drafting a quarterback. I love the whole signing a veteran quarterback there. Michael says we need an offensive line to take over when Smith is gone. Smith is going to be here for a while, so I don't think Smith is going to go anywhere anytime soon. And then, of course, James says 32 is a sweet spot for an interior offensive lineman. Wyatt Davis or Creed Humphrey. The draft is in the air. Can you guys feel it? All right, good stuff. Jeremiah says, send me the link to your number. Once again, there is the number, my friend. We're going to have Dennis Phillips on, and then we'll take phone calls. 727-255-0391. So hold off on the phone calls. Let's get the guy on here from ABC Action News. Mr. Dennis Phillips, welcome to the Evolution. And how surprised were you that the Bucs basically re-signed, not basically, this is the first time it's happened since 1979, the Pittsburgh Steelers with the Week 1 starters being re-signed. And then 1977, the Oakland Raiders for their Super Bowl starters. Your thoughts on this amazing deal that Jason Light and this Bucs organization has been able to pull off?
Yeah, I mean, we've been talking about it every couple of weeks when I come on and talk. I mean, it seemed as though they really had it in their mind that they were going to do everything they could, but you always figure it's not going to happen. There's going to be 1 or 2 that are going to get away. There's going to be 1 or 2 that there's going to get a better deal elsewhere, and they already got their ring. Pretty amazing. I mean, you have to give management, as highest props as they possibly could get. And I guess we're now down to just what's going to happen with Antonio Brown, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's what's going to happen, and we're going to have to see what's going to happen with Brown because BA talked about it. We heard from Mike Garafolo, who basically said on the NFL Network that they could be apart financially. But at the end of the day, in your opinion, the Bucs need Brown needs the Bucs more than the Bucs need Brown, right?
Yeah, especially with Larry Fitzgerald sitting out there, because I mean, I know a lot of people. I mean, you've heard this so much, and it isn't that Fitz is just. I mean, he's clearly on the tail end of his career, but talk about as a big one extreme to the other, because I mean, as talented as Antonio Brown is as a Hall of Famer, unless the off the field stuff gets in the way, certainly the numbers are there, and there's no doubt about it. But you always wonder at what point is something going to happen. I mean, you're just waiting for it, right? Every news release, every breaking bit of sports, you're waiting to hear something else has happened and it's going to bring him down. And on the other side of the coin, you've got Larry Fitzgerald, who is as respected in the NFL as anybody. I mean, the guy, I followed him way back when he went to Pitt, being a Penn State grad. And the guy, you just have to wonder if maybe the Bucs might be better off having a guy not quite as volatile. Because, I mean, AB is fine and all, but when you've got that other depth in the wide receiver that they have, is there going to be much of a difference between Antonio Brown and Larry Fitzgerald? And I'm just throwing it out there. Again, who knows if that's actually would ever happen. But with the history that Arians has with Larry Fitzgerald, and the fact that the entire NFL would love to see that guy have a chance to get a ring. I mean, what a great addition to that team. I don't think it's going to matter either way. Do you really think the Bucs are going to succeed or fail whether or not Antonio Brown is on that roster? I don't think it's going to come down to that. There's too much depth on that receiving core.
You're exactly right. I mean, you have a Tyler Johnson, you have a Scotty Miller, of course, AB with 45 catches. I believe Brown, at this point in his career, it has a little bit more left in his tank. That's not to say that Fitzgerald can't be successful. So even if they go with the Fitzgerald, you don't think this offense would take a step back. In fact, what you're trying to tell me is it may actually get better, not only because Fitzgerald actually knows the offense and will have a full year, which AB didn't necessarily have that last year, but also the development of a Tyler Johnson and, of course, a Scotty Miller, right?
Yeah, you wonder if Fitzgerald might be more of a protege for them. I mean, somebody and a mentor, somebody who would be willing to maybe think of himself second and team first. And again, AB did everything right this last year for the Bucs. I mean, we all know that. And as I said, I mean, I drafted him on my fantasy team before the Bucs even picked him up. So I had always hoped that he was going to find a way to get back in the league because of his raw talent. But he did, and maybe he's turned it all around. And maybe he's going to be. I mean, I know the Ravens have been looking at him. I know the Seahawks have been looking at him. But, you just wonder, you just keep thinking, is something else going to happen? And you do not have that concern at all with Larry Fitzgerald. And, as you said, with Tyler Johnson and with Scotty Miller and with everything else. I mean, if this team could stay healthy in the receiver, they won a Super Bowl when a lot of their receivers were not healthy a good portion of the year. I mean, Chris Godwin was hurt half the year with his finger and with his quad. So imagine if he's actually able to stay healthy. You got to figure the offense is even going to be more powerful than it was this last season.
Yeah, I mean, that's my thought process. And we're on with ABC Action News' meteorologist, Mr. Dennis Phillips, one of the best in the business, and a sports broadcaster here on the Sports Lab, the evolution of sports talk television. Always love having this guy on. He pontificates like a sports broadcaster, and he definitely missed his calling. But tell me about the weather really quick. I mean, we had a cool down today. Are we going to be heating up here in the next couple of days? What's going on, Dennis, with the weather?
Yeah, it's going to be cool, low 40s in the morning, so it's going to be another cool start. I know a lot of people may be going out and doing some fishing. The wind has been a little rough. There's been some choppy seas and winds at about 15 to 20 knots. So if you are thinking of doing any fishing tomorrow morning, you will run into some wind early on. Water temperatures dropped down 6 or 7 degrees in the last couple of days, and the winds later on in the day will probably drop down to about 10 to 15 knots, but seas probably 3 to 5 feet offshore, maybe even a little bit higher in some spots, and kind of choppy out in the bay. Easter Sunday, much nicer, calm winds, warmer temperatures. The morning start out around 50, and the afternoon ends up in the upper 70s. I got to ask you, I'm curious though. I haven't been here for listening for the predictions on the draft. Who are you going with?
I tell you right now, I was in favor of drafting a running back because I didn't think Leonard Fournette was going to be re-signed. I was surprised by that. But I say you don't go with a running back. You go with either the best defensive tackle. I would say Christian Barmore out of Alabama. You got to get those big hosses, and you get them from Alabama, as my uncle would say. You pair him up eventually with the Ndamukong Suh. Suh's getting up there in age. Vea with his injury history. Of course, they're picking up his fifth-year option. You could possibly go with the corner, the Newsome kid out of Northwestern.
Maybe Asante Samuel from FSU, as a corner. And I keep hearing that the Steelers are kind of looking at Barmore because they're in need of a defensive lineman. I don't know anything about him, but I've been hearing a little buzz that the D-line guy out of University of Washington, that they're kind of big on him as well. So I'm inclined to agree with you. I think there's always it's so crazy how running back just changes from year to year, and whether they go high, and there's really very little buzz that any of the running backs, outside of Bama or maybe a couple of the other ones are going to go even first round. I mean, there's just because running back shelf life in the NFL, just isn't all that great.
No, it's not. And you wonder that if the Bucs do go with the Travis Etienne or Najee Harris, do they have the belief and a victim of volume in a Ronald Jones, who of course is coming up in a free agency year? We know that Leonard Fournette's coming up in a free agency year, although the comments to me are kind of telling about BA and what he thinks about a Keyshawn Vaughn, who they drafted in the third round. Were you surprised by those comments? And would you expect a Vaughn to really step out from a fantasy perspective on this Bucs team, or is it still hard to tell because they share the ball so much with all their running backs?
Yeah, I think Keyshawn Vaughn certainly has the potential. I think the guy's got star quality, but I think the way the system is created right now, they just won a Super Bowl splitting it with Rojo and Fournette, and Keyshawn Vaughn was kind of an afterthought. And the simple fact that they've re-signed Fournette, it just kind of makes me think maybe he's the future, maybe something heir apparent, but I find it hard to believe that they would have re-signed him the way that they did if they didn't kind of plan on using him the same way that they have this past season.
So you feel like Fournette's going to be the number one starter, although, look, Jones had 978 yards, only 22 away from 1,000. There's going to be, some competition, which is going to be cool to see. in your mind right now, as we speak on April 2nd, who do you feel like is going to be the number one starter? Is it going to be a Lombardi Lenny, or is it going to be the victim of volume and a Ronald Jones?
Yeah, they might just save Fournette for the playoffs because whether it's whether it's in the playoffs, whether it's Lombardi Lenny or it just, he always seems to pick up his pace at the end of the season. But I will tell you this, I think they go with hot hand. I don't think there will be a clear lead running back the entire season, because there wasn't this last year. And if Fournette were, I'm a big Leonard Fournette guy, but he's just not been able to stay healthy prior to this season. And he didn't have the same explosiveness this season that he had in prior years. And I think that's the injuries taking a toll on him. I mean, I think he's a serviceable running back. I think he has flashes. And I think there will be plenty of times where he might be the running back, the star of the day. But I really believe it's going to be committee. I just don't think they're going to devote the time to and the reps to one back, especially considering how well it went. I mean, Rojo did a great, really stepped ahead in ball security, because earlier in the season, every time he'd take a hit and he'd fumble, 9 times out of 10, Fournette was in the next series. And you just kind of wondered if that was going to be the way it is. And then Jones, although he had the leg injury, which, it happens obviously, but he seemed to get a little bit better with ball security. So to answer your question, no, I do not think there's going to be a lead back. I really, truly think it's going to be a hot hand every single week. And I think it's going to be that way all of next season as well. And I do think Keyshawn Vaughn will probably be added to the mix a little bit more, because I do think he's capable. But what if it ain't broke, why fix it?
Yeah, I agree. I absolutely agree with that. We're on with Dennis Phillips of ABC Action News, one of the best meteorologists in the business at this point. With all that being said, with Antonio Brown and the questions about Leonard Fournette, and the drafting deal, the one thing that I got out of this, and I'm looking at the comments here from Leonard Fournette, it made perfect sense to come back. Despite whatever the money was, I felt great. I'm happy to be back. They're happy I'm back. I love this organization. I love the players, the coaches, and we're just trying to run it back. Same thing was said by Donovan Smith. This organization, which, was 1 year ago was 7-9, now the Super Bowl champions, the world champions. It seems like you just one player with a Tom Brady and an ownership's commitment has really made these players want to stay here, which is amazing. All the players seem like they got coached up to say this, but this is how they feel. They took less money, Dennis, to stay here because of this great organization.
Yeah, and that shocks me. I did not expect that. I mean, when you asked me right at the beginning, you're like, were you surprised that they were able to keep everybody together? I was. Because at the end of the day, I still think, especially the athletes maybe who are younger and haven't got their payday yet, I think the majority of people are thinking, look, I got a family to provide for. I want to be able to provide for my kids for the rest of their lives. And I've got my ring, so now I want to get a paycheck. And you're right. I mean, when I'm hearing people, especially people who definitely could make more money elsewhere, decided to sign for less. Now, you would expect that with a Gronk or with a Brady, because they've got their money and they've got their rings. But for people who are still working their way up and maybe don't have nearly the security that Brady and Gronk would, you would expect at least a few of them to be on their way. And by the way, I do not begrudge them at all. I mean, I know a lot of professional athletes or whatever, get a bad rap, in my opinion, for chasing the money. Look, they're providing for their family. Who are we to say, well, why don't you take a pay cut? If someone comes up to you and says, oh, you know what, why don't you stay where you are because your boss likes you and we'll pay you 20% less than somebody else, you tell them to take a hike.
Yeah.
And I think athletes are no different. I mean, yeah, they make a lot more money than we do, but that's their life. They're the best in the world at what they do. So the answer to your question is, after I get off my soapbox, is I just think that I was floored that organization put together the kind of team and the kind of camaraderie and the kind of, the atmosphere that allowed them to say, you know what? All right, I will go again because it meant that much to me. And that's something I would have never in a million years expected. It's pretty impressive.
It is really impressive. And even BA talked about this. He wasn't surprised that it happened. In fact, he said there are a number of factors. I think all know the culture and love the culture, and they're all getting paid. Ain't nobody coming back cheap. We obviously had a team that should be in the hunt again, but I think the camaraderie of this football team, what they went through together with the pandemic and everything else, there's a bond, and it's hard to break that bond. They always say players are a direct reflection of the coach. I don't think Bruce Arians gets enough credit. I think everybody, and they should shower it on a Tom Brady and a Jason Light and the Glazers, but BA, definitely the reason why a lot of these players wanted to come back is because of him, right?
Yeah. Remember the first half of the season when Tom Brady and Bruce Arians weren't seeing eye to eye, and there were all these problems, and they didn't think they were going to make it through the season together. Boy, what happened there? All it takes is a few W's and having those happen at the right time, and then everything's absolutely perfect. So I think the media and fans, we see things and we might just kind of jump to conclusions after a loss, especially because that's when we're at our lowest. After a loss, if your team's down, then everything's bad. But after a nice win, all of a sudden everything looks awfully rosy again. So, but still, to answer your question, I'm floored. I huge credit to Todd Light and huge credit to Bruce Arians to find a way to convince those players that something was more important than money. And these days, you don't hear that very often.
Now, we talked about Bruce Arians earlier on tonight, getting the tattoo at 68 years old. We asked the fans out there, would they ever consider it? With the way this season was and how magical it was, would you ever consider Dennis Phillips getting a Bucs tattoo? Yes or no, and the reasons why or why not?
You know what? I'm not a tattoo guy. I'm too old. It would be all wrinkly and all. That's just not a good look. Good look at all. Now, my boys, I got 4 boys and 2 girls. I'm sure my boys would be all over that, but I don't want to make any of the viewers or listeners even think of such a disgusting thought on me. So the answer is probably in terms of human and humanity, I would probably say no, the answer to that on any tattoo.
Good stuff. All right. We had a lot of stuff go on in the NFL, especially with the draft, the Miami Dolphins. You look at what they've done here, Dennis. Phenomenal job. 4 first-round picks. They trade out of the 3 spot. They go down to 12. I don't know what the Eagles are doing. You have to explain this to me. And then the Eagles trade out of 6, where they had an opportunity to get a wide receiver or a playmaker for their supposed quarterback. They're going to do everything they can to put stuff around them, but they're going to trade out. The Dolphins trade up to 6. But the big story, of course, the San Francisco 49ers go from 12 to 3. They trade a couple first-round picks. It's quarterback. What quarterback? I say it's Mac Jones out of Alabama. In fact, I've got a steak dinner bet with my professional handicapper, Mr. Harry the Greek. What do you say? Good bet?
Ooh, what does Harry say? Because I agree with you. I think it's going to be Mac Jones.
Harry says no.
Does he say who? Does he take the rest of the field? Did you get one pick and he got the field?
I'll tell you what. Let me go out to Harry the Greek. He'll go ahead and explain his reasoning right now. Let's get out to him. Harry the Greek, explain yourself to the great meteorologist of ABC Action News, Mr. Dennis Phillips, on why you bet against me, first and foremost, where he's about to agree with me on Mac Jones. Who do you think the 49ers are going to take?
Well, first off, I just want to say hello to Mr. Dennis Phillips again. Bring us back into a 3-way again. I haven't seen a smiling face here in like a couple of months. Dennis, how the hell are you doing, buddy?
Hey, I'm doing good. Man, I'll tell you, you must be a professional gambler. Because regardless of whether or not if they take Mac Jones or not, you're telling me that you made him pick one player and you got the rest of the field?
Well, no, not really. But I did tell him that Mac Jones ain't going number 3. And I'm going to even make one more bold prediction. The Jets aren't drafting a quarterback, Dennis.
Oh, my God. Zach Wilson is going number 2.
I got Zach Wilson going number 3. 3. Count it. Number 3.
Who are the Jets taking?
The big offensive tackle from Oregon.
Oregon, yeah.
Well, that would make sense, but the problem with that is they drafted a guy by the name of Mekhi Becton on that left side. Mm-hmm. Still could play the right side, but I just don't see them doing that. I see them going with the quarterback. Yes.
I always have to try to go against the grain a little bit, guys. Okay, there's nothing wrong with it. You got to have a pick. If I'm right, they're going to be like, wow, what a deep pick. But if I'm wrong, they're like, it wasn't a good pick anyway. So I'm kind of in a win-win position. But Mac Jones is not getting drafted in the top 10. Sorry.
Wow, really? Wow. I disagree. And by the way, I don't disagree because I think that he's going to be a successful NFL quarterback. I disagree because there just seems to be this year, this is the year where the quarterbacks are driving every decision made. And the Niners at this point in time, I mean, they might have given a little bit of, okay, Jimmy, you can hang around this season. But at the end of the day, they're in it for a quarterback. I would be floored if they went up from 12-3 and they don't pick up a quarterback. I would be just shocked. And now I will tell you though, you might be right on Zach Wilson. Quarterbacks, well, I guess Joe Namath, but outside of that, I mean, quarterbacks have not fared particularly well in New York. Well, no one has fared particularly well with the Jets. Huh. So, Sam Darnold was supposed to be a really good quarterback out of college and has done next to nothing. And it's not necessarily because he's not a good quarterback. I would say it's because he plays for the Jets.
Well, I got to agree with that, and that's another thing I want to make a point about. Since John Lynch has been the general manager out there, okay, he's done some phenomenal moves, and I think you'll agree with me. For instance, when the Bears went to go draft Mitchell Trubisky, they moved up one spot and they ended up getting the whole farm for him. Then a couple of years later, they got a whole bunch of extra picks when they moved and trade spots with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and they ended up getting Tristan Wirfs. So they keep collecting these picks. I personally do not feel that they're drafting, that they moved all the way up to number 3, not to get a quarterback. I agree with you on that, but I'm just saying, I don't think they're going to get the kid out of Alabama. That's just my own personal opinion. I honestly think they know something that we don't, and I am going to jump on that bandwagon. I don't think that the Jets are going to get Zach Wilson, and that's why they're there at number 3.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you right now, I think Wilson goes number 2. I think Mac Jones goes number 3. The Atlanta Falcons are kind of the wild card here. They've been talking about Kyle Pitts. Our own Evan Winter on Monday mentioned him, the tight end out of Florida. Is that where you see them going, or could they go with the quarterback from Ohio State, which for some reason I can't remember his name right now?
Justin Fields.
Yeah, ran a blazing 4.4 40. And I get it, 40 times, for quarterbacks are not a big deal. But in your opinion, what is your thought process on what the Atlanta Falcons could possibly do? Because, of course, they are in the same division as the Bucs. And what do you think about the prospects of a field?
Yeah, I mean, I think you're right. I mean, that team likes tight ends, and Pitts is obviously the guy. But I'll tell you, I don't disagree with you. If I were them, you would think they might be thinking quarterback because Matt Ryan is getting up there, and maybe he's got another year or two in him. I don't know, but at this point in time, Justin Fields, he's in my. And first of all, I am not a Justin Fields fan, but here's why: because he committed to Penn State. And he decommitted to Penn State and went to Georgia, where he then left Georgia and went to Ohio State. So not only did he not go to my alma mater, but he went to our arch rival. So I'm not a Justin Fields fan. However, everything I've heard about the guy is that he's a solid kid. He's tough as nails. And he's that multi-threat quarterback that you don't see with the other quarterbacks in the draft this year. And looking at who they're looking at. I mean, whether you're talking about Trevor Lawrence or Zach Wilson or Mac Jones. I mean, those are guys that aren't as comfortable running the ball as Justin Fields is. And I just think that he might, in my opinion, he might be the best dual threat quarterback out there. And outside of Trevor Lawrence may end up being the better NFL quarterback because heaven knows of late, that's the way the NFL is trending. And they love those quarterbacks that can run and can throw. And, somebody like, UF's quarterback. I mean, I've been hearing a lot of talk that he might not even have the arm to make it in the NFL, and he is a true pocket quarterback. And a lot of teams aren't necessarily looking for pocket quarterbacks anymore.
Yeah, and a lot of Bucs fans would like to see Kyle Trask. Do you think if a Kyle Trask is there at 32, that he would be a quarterback option for them to basically put behind a Tom Brady and learn that Bruce Arians system? Are you high on Trask, or are you high on somebody else in this draft?
No, I think that would be a big mistake. I don't know. That's going to be an interesting situation. At what round? Is it this year? Is it next year? When do the Bucs start thinking about Tom's replacement? So he's going to play this next year. Do you think he's going to go another year? Do you think he's actually going to play 2 more?
I think I certainly think it's possible. Anything's possible with TB12. Honestly, I do. I'm sorry. I know what you're saying. One more, but with Tom Brady and the shape that he's playing in at the elite level, throwing for over 40 touchdowns, you can keep this team together, which you're going to in the next couple of years. And we heard from the Glazers and Jason Light that the salary cap is not going to be a problem. We're just going to move some things around. I would not be surprised if Tom Brady plays another 2 or 3 years. Honestly,
I can see that.
He said he wants to play until he's 45, right?
Yeah. So he's 44 in August. So this year, and then 45, which is what?
46 years old. And wow. I mean, how in the world? I guess if you got a good enough offensive line that can keep him upright, then why not? Now, I will tell you this. And we're even talking about this, but if the Bucs were to repeat, if they were to win back-to-back, you just know he'd come back again for that 3rd year. You know he would, because he'd want to do that 3-peat. I think that might very well be what it comes down to. If that team either wins the Super Bowl or is right there, maybe he'll get in for another year. But obviously, we're putting the cart ahead of the horse there. I don't know. I'll be really interested to hear what the Bucs do, if they even address quarterback this year, or if they decide to do it next year instead.
Well, we got plenty to talk about before then. Yes, go ahead, Harry.
I'm sure that everybody on the screen here, and including the viewers, would agree with me that the Bucs will win a division this year. Correct?
I agree. I absolutely agree.
It's almost a shoo-in. If they stay healthy, it should be issue. Without injuries, they should win it. What if I told you, Dennis and Peter, that line is only minus 130? For Peter, I'll have to explain it to you. Dennis, I think you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
That means for every 100 you wager to win, you have to wager $130, Peter. That is that's almost, look. Before I would have said that, I would have said that the Buccaneers were minus 250. That means for every 100 you wanted to win, you had to lay 250. It's only 130. For God's sakes. I mean, I don't know. Nothing's telling me that they're not going to win it. New Orleans regressed. Atlanta might be improving. Carolina might improve a little bit, but I don't see them overthrowing Tampa this year. I think that's just a solid bet this year. I really do.
I do too.
I'm with you. The only issue is what if Brady breaks his leg in the first game of the season.
Oh, God.
You know
what? Hold on. Time out. You're Catholic right now. Hail Mary full of graces and 4 penances right now. Hail Mary full of graces.
Injuries are that great equalizer that you can never handicap and you can never predict. I mean, the Bucs are 3rd choice to win the Super Bowl. KC's plus 500 or 550. Well, last I saw Green Bay was the place that
They're tied now. They're tied with Green Bay. They're plus 900.
Yeah, plus 900. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so they're tied now with Green Bay. I don't understand that. And how's Kansas City, by the way, even plus 550 to win the Super Bowl when they can't even get Tyreek Hill right now to renegotiate his contract? To put some of that money up front so they can clear up some cap space so they can retain some of these players. I'm going to tell you right now, that is a sucker's bet for Kansas City this year.
Is 2 words, Pat Mahomes, because that's the public. The public, and I'm with you. I'm a contrarian also. If the public goes one way, 9 times out of 10, I go the other way. Mm-hmm. And the reason they are, because Kansas City is that team that the public loves. They're like the Cowboys used to be back in the day. They're like the Steelers used to be. And especially considering they didn't even win it this year. But I think the mindset is, well, they didn't win it this year. They're certainly going to win it next year. And I don't know. I think I'm more intrigued that Green Bay is the second choice, because in spite of the fact that, they obviously gave the Bucs a run for their money as much as they could in the NFC Championship, you just have to wonder, Green Bay doesn't really have a lot, and their receiving core is pretty weak outside of Devontae Adams.
Yeah. Well, Adam Lazard, he was out part of the year, as you remember, with COVID, and then he came back, a few little injuries, dinged up. Their receivers are okay, but when have they really ever had any superstar receivers? I mean, Devontae Adams is a superstar receiver while he's in Green Bay. We could also say that about Cobb and everybody else, but the moment they leave Green Bay, They've just become average receivers, in my opinion. And that's always been the fact with them. I think that's the Aaron Rodgers effect. I think Aaron Rodgers makes his quarterback play, makes his receivers that much better. Hell, they got a tight end out there right now that when I got a chance to watch him about midseason, I was like, where did this guy come from? My Lord, this guy is good. But that defense stinks, so they're not doing anything. I think that's a sucker's bet as well. But they're going to win the NFC North. They're going to take the crown over my Bears and everything else. I mean, I'm a realist, but I don't think they're going anywhere in the playoffs. The team that the Bucs have to worry about this year, Dennis, no one's talking about, is Matthew Stafford-led Rams. That team is scary.
I agree with that because you finally get a veteran presence. You have that defense already intact. And to me, they've done a lot more than the Green Bay Packers in this offseason. Dennis, I know you got to run. Go ahead and promote yourself, and love to have you back on the Sports Web, the evolution of sports talk television.
I'm always around. You guys know that I am a Bucs fan, but I'm probably even a bigger baseball guy than I am a football guy. But you know, I do love my football. Bucs are. I mean, the Rays are now down 4-2. The Marlins are up 4-2. So we'll see how that ends up. But yeah, and in spite of the fact that I do love weather and I've loved weather all my life, I love hanging out with you guys and doing this with the Sports Talk because I've. If I didn't do weather, I certainly would be doing sports, but I think I'm safe where I found my little niche in the Bay Area. I'm on Monday through Friday, 5, 6, and 11 on ABC Action News. Thanks for inviting me over, guys. Hope to talk to you again soon.
Absolutely. There you go. The great Dennis Phillips of ABC Action News. Thanks a lot for your time here on the evolution of sports talk television. All right.
Thanks, guys.
All right.
See you, Dennis.
Mr. Dennis Phillips on with us. Let's go out to Harry the Greek. Let's go out to these comments because I know you guys want to call in and talk to my professional handicapper here, Mr. Harry the Greek. So let's go ahead and read some of these comments.
Oh, before you read them, Peter?
Yes.
I got to say something to your boy, Roger Shoe.
I got to read.
He used to be my friend, okay? I'm just going to throw that out there. There is no more Roger Shoe, okay? You are, okay, never mind. He is my buddy. Harry's a god. Okay, there he is. But there's one in there that I really don't like. Roger, you are very lucky you put that in there.
Well, I don't know which one you're talking about.
Oh, you'll find it.
Okay, let's go out to these comments here. Let's see. Go Bucs says Cornell. I'll go ahead and fire those cannons right there for tonight. Again, Bucs time 12. AB is waiting to get paid. As we learn, Mac Jones to the 49ers is looking real. I'm smelling that steak. And you know what? How I like the steak. I like it well done. I like it well done. You know, give me some loaded potatoes. You know, you don't have to get with the wine, but just give me a drink, man. I am screw the vegetables. Although if it's, you know, like spinach or green beans or something like that.
But what do I get?
Well, I'll buy you the same thing. I'll buy you milk. But I'm telling you, I'm betting on this right now. We talked about this on the over-under on Wednesday night. I was and what they saw is at the Pro Day, which is NFL Network, they were mentioning this. Guess who was next to John Lynch at the Alabama Pro Day?
Who was it?
Bill Belichick. And that tells me one thing, that John Lynch and Bill Belichick will eventually work out a trade where they trade Jimmy Garoppolo back to the Patriots, and he'll be the starting quarterback. And, of course, John Lynch will get a pick out of it. He'll be able to put something around their future starting quarterback in a Mac Jones.
Listen, if they – now you're using my lingo. I'm proud of you, Peter. Book it. Listen, man, if they draft Mac Jones, you get 2 steak dinners.
Okay? Oh, okay. Well, I think I'm going to get 2 steak dinners.
Not uno, dos.
Dos. Well, that's beautiful.
Okay.
Oh, we could go steak dinner 1, and we could go like no, you know what? I'll stick with the steak dinner. We'll go 2 steak dinners. I'll
tell you what, steak dinner and a Brooklyn pizza. How does that sound? Over here, right here in Seminole. That's really good, wasn't it?
That calzone, that stromboli. I want to get a stromboli. I think the calzone was good, but I want to get a stromboli next time.
Have you ever had a stromboli?
I have, but
okay, they're extraordinary. For people that don't know where this place is at, it is one of the best dinner joints you're ever going to eat. It's right here in Seminole, at Park Boulevard in Seminole. You ever think about going to a pizza place to get a hamburger? Do it, because he's got the best burgers in town. His food is I can't even explain it to you. Go in there and see Brad. Tell him Harry the Greek sent you, and Peter Blake. Trust me, you're going to love this food.
Absolutely love it. Absolutely love it. And always love hanging out with you and Jamie and and just talking about draft and everything else that we talk about. All right. Or with Fitz, nope, says Jeremiah. We don't need him. I think he's talking about an AB. A lot of people kind of souring on Brown because of the report from Mike Garafolo and then hearing from Bruce Arians how they could be a little bit apart on contract terms. Although you hear from Jason Light, still investigating the process, still not sure. He's not ready to let it go. I think he even said, it's not over yet. He said, we're still waiting. We could do a couple of fronts. We're still seeing what we can do on a couple of fronts, but I don't think it's ever done. That's Jason Light. They're talking about it. So,
you know what I think the problem is and why they haven't signed him? This is just my theory. This is not anything that I know, and I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Oh,
I think both parties are being patient because they're trying to figure out how they're going to get more cap space, not only to pay him, but for the upcoming players that are coming into the draft. That's just my own personal opinion. And I don't think there's been that much of a market for Antonio Brown this year, the more I've thought about it, because if there was, he'd already be gone. He is just being patient. I believe he wants to play in Tampa. I don't believe it has anything to do with Larry Fitzgerald. I don't think anybody's holding the cards. I think he's going to give Tampa a hometown discount, and he's just waiting for Jason Light to get a little more cap space freed up so they can sign him and be able to allocate the rest of the funds for the draft. Your opinion?
No, I agree with you on that. And this organization has shown in the past, like last year, right before they draft, how they acquired a Rob Gronkowski. So they're never done willing and dealing. You just have to keep it here locked on Bucs Report, of course, on the Evolution of Sports Talk Television. Join the 69,000 following we have here on Facebook, of course, live on Facebook, YouTube's, because there's also Liam Mitchell on his YouTube, and then, of course, Twitter. No more Twitch. I'm sorry. No more ads. No more trolls. I got tired of that stuff. So, yeah, definitely join us. And if there is some breaking news, keep it here on Bucs Report. We got you covered. We don't need him, says Jeremiah. Angel says, love OJ. He's a special player. Just sucks he hasn't taken advantage of his opportunity. Gets me really upset thinking about it. I agree with you on that. A lot of people talking about it. And I think, the indication that he's not on the trading block is that Bruce Arians says he's 80 to 85%. You're not going to trade an OJ Howard being injured goods. And then if you trade him, what kind of value does a Howard have in your opinion, Harry?
I'm not the right person to ask on that because I'm not an OJ Howard supporter. I know he's a hell of an athlete, and I know he can catch the ball, and he could do a lot of things. I mean, he could be one of the best tight ends in football. But the best player, in my opinion, is availability, and he just has improved since he's been in the league that he could stay healthy.
Yeah.
And the more you keep getting injured, I just think that's just going to keep taking a toll on his body. I don't know, man. I think they should try to trade him. That's just my opinion. They might be able to get someone for him. I think that it's not an experiment. It's just some players, they have all the talent in the world, and they perform when they're on the field. But the problem is getting them onto the field, and that's been his biggest Achilles heel.
And I agree with that. And he's coming off an ACL injury, of course. So once again,
I didn't know that was an ACL. I thought it was something different. My Lord, he has an ACL?
I believe it was an ACL. I believe that was what it was, a torn ACL. So he's going to have to. Well, to me, I think you got to wait and play it out. And you look at the potential that he has, and I get it. We're talking about potential with this kid, but he was a first-round pick. You've got to see what you have in him. And if it doesn't work out this year, then you can always go a different place. But for me,
99% of the injuries, especially when it pertains to an ACL, especially a man of his size and stature, it's not like a quarterback, okay, where they're still a little timid in the background. They're constantly getting hit. They're constantly running and cutting. And, it's usually it takes a year and a half after that ACL, especially a position player, not being a quarterback.
And
running back, tight end, and wide receiver. Ooh,
let me you were right. It is an Achilles. It's a ruptured Achilles.
So okay.
So
never mind, because ACLs, they really that could be devastating. Achilles, that's a little bit of a different story.
Well, that's why I said I think. I didn't know, so I didn't necessarily put it out there. But it is a ruptured Achilles, still an injury that you have to come back from, and you wonder how explosive he's going to be. Because when Howard was healthy, you could see the impact that he can make on that offense. All right, let's see here. Bucs Time 12 says AB is a great talent, but there will be a media circus when the trial starts, so his pay should reflect that. The trial doesn't, that's going to be in December. So I don't know. Is that a possibility that the Bucs are looking into it? I guess it is. Rojo has less miles on his tires. That's good and bad. It's good because he's fresher. It's bad because he's got less game experience. 978 yards. Again, needs more carries, but the injury didn't help. And of course, COVID and everything else didn't help. Niners will take an offensive lineman. You agree with that? Niners with an offensive lineman. You already have Trent Williams at the left tackle spot. You need another offensive lineman, in your opinion?
You never can have too many offensive linemen because that offensive lineman can run right side, left side. It doesn't make a difference, even though Trent Williams is on the left side. That's why I don't think they moved all the way to number 3 to grab an offensive lineman. That's why I honestly think they're grabbing a quarterback. And you could be absolutely correct with Mac Jones, but I honestly think they're going to get Zach Wilson. I don't think the Jets are taking him, Peter. I got this funny feeling they're just not going to do it. I mean, we're talking about the Jets. They do everything wrong. Sorry.
No, that's fine. I mean, that's absolutely fair assessment, especially with the way they treated their number 1 picks. I mean, you're trading them, you're getting rid of them, and that's the reason why this organization is a dumpster fire, because of not being able to get those picks to eventually develop. You're letting them go.
Let me start a little rumor.
Sure, go for it.
Since they don't want Sam Darnold so much, Tampa would love to have a Sam Darnold, not to play this year. You know what? Right now, the New York Jets, per very reliable sources, will take a 3rd round pick, just one, for Sam Darnold. He's not done. We're talking about a 23-year-old quarterback with all the tools. Can you imagine bringing him to Tampa, let him sit on the bench, and just give up a 3rd round pick? I'd do it like that.
I agree with you on that. 23-year-old quarterback who's really never had an opportunity to develop, highly touted, got a big arm, got some definitely some mobility, to move around and scale the pocket a little bit, can make all the throws. Just hasn't had the pieces around him to really be successful. So I agree with you on that. It's been talked about on ESPN's Get Up, where, some general managers say not even a 3rd round pick. He could be a 4th round pick. You're talking about a top 10 player, top 5 player, and you're giving up a 4th round pick. You would absolutely have to kick the tires on that deal.
I always goof around with Josh Rosen, with Rick Hughes on his show, and everybody else. But this kid in New York, Sam Darnold, he has every tool. He has been battle tested. He just has not been challenged correctly, and he has not been supported. That is the prime example of a dumpster fire organization not taking care of what value that they have coming in. And I'm telling you, you bring Sam Darnold to Tampa, you know what? I'd like to start that petition right now, because they need a good backup quarterback. You let him sit behind Brady for 1 or even 2 years, and now you keep rolling, because you get that mentality. The Brady effect.
Yep.
Now you've developed a quarterback. Okay, I mean, that's legit. That really is, and it's only a 3rd round pick. Or do you want Kyle Trask? I don't know. I love Kyle Trask as a quarterback. I'd rather have Sam Darnold.
I agree. I love to have Sam Darnold. I don't think he's been given the necessary chance, and I would be more excited. And I know how excited we were when they got Josh Rosen, but you'd be more excited about a Sam Darnold because, look, he's had his fair share of problems with turnovers, but he's also had his fair share of good plays, and having 1 or 2 years under a Tom Brady, Bruce Arians, Byron Leftwich system, I would feel even better about. Let's go out to Misador. Harry, it makes sense. You don't think Lynch has talks with Saleh? Saleh says, no, we will go with the tackle. Brandon says, Buccaneers running back, laugh out loud. Roger Shoe says, Harry is God. We read that. Sitton says, but who are the Rams wide receivers? Well, they got plenty of good wide receivers there, do they not?
Yeah, they also have a very young running game. And let's talk about something a little bit better. First off, Matthew Stafford's one of the toughest quarterbacks I have ever seen in football. Okay, he's never had a defense on any Detroit Lion team. I mean, I don't think any of them have ever finished in the top 20. As a matter of fact, I'll probably put money on it. The over and under saying under on that line. You've got a defense out there. He's got a team that actually is going to learn. Wait a minute, they're going to have a running game. Okay, that's going to be sitting behind him, which is going to make his play action even more devastating. And oh, did I tell you? He's probably the inventor of the no-look pass, and Mahomes needs to be thanking him for it. Nobody does it like Matthew Stafford, especially with that no-look pass. That team is scary this year.
Hey,
And it isn't just about wide receivers. You only need one wide receiver with that running game, with the tight end and that defense, and then that guy up under center. Oh, Lord, that's dangerous.
well, it's funny because they're actually in the back right now. The Rams are playing, it looks like the Cardinals. So it's funny. That's on NFL Network as we speak. Let's see. Roger Shue says, sorry here, laugh out loud.
Oh, he knows what he's sorry about. I'd love to put that comment up there, but you didn't see it.
What did it say?
What did it say here? I'm going to show you. You ready?
Yeah.
Just remember where you're at.
Oh, but yeah. Well, now look, he has his right to this because the comments today about Andy Dalton being, they scouted all these quarterbacks and they believe that Andy Dalton is the real deal and one of the
We're going to the promised land this year.
Oh, please. I don't think
I got to do 200 Hail Marys. What do they call that with the Catholics? I got to do 20 Hail Marys, whatever it is.
Whatever you say, buddy. Easter.
No thanks, man.
Yeah.
Oh, just a little sports update. The White Sox and the LA Angels are playing right now. The Sox are down 1-0, but the White Sox have bases loaded, and the Tampa Bay Rays were losing 4-2 late in the game. I really hope they pull that game out.
Well, it'll be nice. It's nice to have baseball back again. We talk about it on the show sometime, but there's some webheads out there don't necessarily like it. They call it boring ball, but we can talk a little baseball if you want. I mean,
I'd love to. Go ahead and read your comments because I have some questions about the owners. And let me tell you something. People that are out there, please don't tune off because what he's going to have to say to the question that I'm going to ask is so insightful, but yet so controversial. And I would love to hear someone's opinions on this because, Peter, you and I have talked about this from before, and you know what rabbit hole I want to climb down tonight.
Oh, yeah, I know what rabbit hole you want to go into, and I'm willing to go into it with you there. Who eats steak well done? Shaking my damn head. I do! How about that? Isidore. Steak should be medium rare. Here's what I think about you.
Grand Slam, baby.
Who?
The Chicago White Sox, Mr. Jose Abreu, and it was a no-brainer.
The Cuban nightmare right there.
Lord.
Lynch was by Belichick because that was his last coach in the NFL. No, he wasn't.
No, he wasn't.
With New England? He did not. No, it wasn't. They're doing a trade deal, okay? Buy into it. Stop it, Misador. Roger Shue says Mac to the Bears. Yeah, okay. You wouldn't take Mac Jones over Andy Dalton. Go. Why not?
Zero. Why? Because honestly, Andy Dalton's a much better quarterback than him, and he will be. I mean, Andy Dalton's going to fit in this offense very well. We could all goof around and joke whatever you want. He's not going to light it up. He's going to be a really good game manager, and he fits exactly what Matt Nagy wants. Matt Nagy does not want a mobile quarterback. Matt Nagy wants someone to drop back. 1, 2, 3, throw. 1, 2, 3, 4, throw. That's all he wants. He doesn't want someone to extend plays with his feet.
I agree with you on that. Let's see. Adam says Cooper Kupp, Robert Woods, who's an absolute stud. Josh Reynolds, who showed up. Tyler Higbee, who's a good tight end. Agree. They have plenty of weapons. And then they got the great Cam Akers out of Florida State, who
Hold on. I believe that Adam Padermo just dropped the mic with that one. Holy cow. That man can bring the knowledge, bro.
Absolutely. Let me go ahead and fire those cannons right there, and I'll give him a Ric Flair woo.
Woo!
Yes, because that was a good comment. Roger Shue says, Harry, go to Paul's Chicago Pizza on McMullen Booth. Best pizza in Florida, says Roger Shue. There you go. Foxy Rose says, hey, guys, what's going on, Foxy? Juvenile Visions, it was an Achilles rupture. You're exactly right. I corrected myself. I do apologize for that. It was an Achilles. Was not a torn ACL. Thank God for that. Potential is not a good word to be used on a player. You just picked the 5th-year option on. Juvenile says, why do the Bears think they can win without a quarterback?
They've been thinking that for years. I'll take the stage on this one. Hell, they've never even had a quarterback to throw for 4,000 yards in a season. Ever. But when you've had players like Neil Anderson, Walter Payton, Gale Sayers, I mean, we're going to go back a lot of years. Everything runs through a defense. And everything runs through a running game. You know, you run to set up a pass. Very few teams are successful passing their way to a Super Bowl and win, i.e. the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. That's a rarity, a very rarity, because defenses win championships and so do running games. But, wait a minute. Tampa did win that game in the Super Bowl by what, Peter? The defense. But as far as the Chicago Bears are concerned, why do they think they can win without a quarterback? playing quarterback in the city of Chicago is extremely difficult. It's not easy because November is an okay time to play. October is an okay time to play. But when December starts to roll around and the sustained winds, I don't know, are 20 miles an hour because you're on the lakefront from east to west and it's circling around like a tornado, it's a little difficult to throw the ball in there. It's matter of fact, no, it's very difficult. And besides the fact it's so cold that your teeth are chattering 24/7. So that's why you run the ball and play defense, especially in your northern teams.
It makes lots of sense. All right, let's see here. Roger Shue says, I hear he agrees with me. Roger Shue says, go Cubs, go. I don't.
Oh, God.
He's
God.
he's a Cubs fan, too. Not your friend anymore. Misador says, bet you on that Lynch was with the Patriots. Who wants to put money on it? Lynch was with the Patriots. I do not think he was. I believe he was with
I got to look this up.
Look it up for me, please, because I don't remember John Lynch being with the Patriots. In fact, 2 teams I remember him being with. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the Denver Broncos. How much you want to bet there, Misador?
No. Don't go bet. This is not my show's for betting.
Well, you're teaching me. You're teaching me.
I know I got to teach you when to take guarantees when we find out the truth, okay?
I feel like this is going to be a guarantee at this point because you know my extensive knowledge there, Misador and Harry the Greek. About,
oh, my God.
What?
Matt's Pat's blog invalidate. And yet another shocking move. The Patriots have released veteran safety John Lynch after 2 preseason games.
Wow.
The Pats brought Lynch in to help solve some of their injury problems at safety. He never started the game, That's not fair.
Yeah, that really is. It's because I'll give you credit for it, but then
wow, that's deep.
Wow. The Patriots, and he only had 2 preseason.
Sure, I'll show you the picture.
Yeah. That's unbelievable.
That's your boy, John Lynch.
Oh, my God. Where's my money? I got your money right here. Here's your money right there.
Hey, you see, Sador is my boy. You got to know better. You don't bet people from the South Side, okay, bro? I mean, he's from the Chicago area.
Well, here's what I'm thinking, though. Seeing as he didn't play a season game, does it count?
Yeah, actually, it does. They did pick him up. Technically, it does. But, hey, I got you, brother. You got to let my boy off the hook on that one. He'll learn.
Oh, yeah. Jerry Rice played for the Seahawks, too, right?
I don't know. I'm not taking that bet.
He did. And the preseason. He didn't make it to the regular season. Lynch played the preseason for the 07 Patriots before Lynch retired. Well, he should have retired before signing with the Patriots. He was cut before the season started. All right. I was wrong. I'm frustrated. I'm trusting my money with Harry. Christopher Cole says the Rams barely touched Brady. Agree. Misador, oh, boo-hoo. Chicago is cold and windy. Laugh out loud. Misador, where's my money? He was still coached. Well, not very well. Maybe he was cut after 2 preseason games. He wasn't coached very well. Roger Shue here. North side for life, Harry. Uh-oh.
You know what they say about the north side, don't you?
Oh, jeez.
It has something to do with Texas, but I'm not going to say this on this show, okay?
Oh, do it.
You know what I'm talking about, Mr. Roger Shue.
All right. So we talked about the draft process. We've been talking about the Bucs. You want to talk a little baseball here real quick? I'd
love to talk baseball. I have $1 million question for you.
Go for it. I'll put
someone,
it on the screen.
Can someone please finally put this to rest? Why the Tampa Bay Rays cannot put fans in the stands? And I constantly keep hearing people have an argument that it's because it's in a bad location or they can't put a product on the field. Well, I don't know. They went to the World Series last year. You still can't put fans in the field. Okay. In the stadium. They went to the World Series not even too long prior to that or even to the playoffs. They're still not packing the stadiums. They get more fans when the Yankees go in there. And Peter, you had some pretty good insight on this. I just really want you to put this narrative to rest on why it is, because I don't think people believe us. Because I'm going to tell you right now, after you explained it to me, I don't care if the stadium was in the heart of Tampa with 4 interstates dumping off in it. As long as they have that ownership here, it'll never fill up. Explain why.
All right. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to go ahead and put you in the lobby right now. I'm going to explain this. And, we've always talked about this on the sports web. I've always gone over this, and I've gone back and forth with people on, they go, the fans don't show up. The whole narrative from the national media is that fans don't show up to support the Tampa Bay Rays. Well, it's funny. When the Rays made the playoffs against the Houston Astros, they packed the Trop because it mattered. But the problem is, with everything that the Rays do good, they basically flush it down the toilet. The momentum goes by the wayside. Case in point, the Tampa Bay Rays make the World Series. They get rid of Blake Snell. They get rid of Charlie Morton. Is that going to give any momentum? Is that going to make fans think about going out and supporting this team? Absolutely not. Here's the difference, ladies and gentlemen. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they win a Super Bowl. What do? They re-sign all their players. What's the Tampa Bay Lightning do? They re-sign their own. They go out and make the necessary moves. So it always goes back to ownership for me and Stu Sternberg. How many years has this ownership talked about the fans not supporting him? We can't sustain. We can't get it done. Do you think blue-collar people that make $32,000 to $35,000 a year want to hear a multi-million-dollar owner talk about how bad he's doing and how he has to go somewhere else? And then on top of it, the cherry on that cake, which I talked about the other night for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, but in the different direction, in the opposite direction. He's talking about doing a half a year here in St. Pete, half a year in Montreal. The fans know. You don't want to be here. The Rays don't want to be here. That's why they're never going to get the fan support. Think about it, guys. I always relate sports to a relationship. If one person is giving more than the other person checks out. It's just a part of life. We talked about it with Tom Brady and the New England Patriots. The Patriots took him for granted. They didn't put the necessary weapons around him. What did he do? Skip town. He was done. Same thing with the Rays fans. And I still feel to this day, if the Rays had the ownership like the Glazers of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers or Jeff Vinnick of the Tampa Bay Lightning, the Rays would be supported more. Don't throw out the narrative that they got to the World Series. Don't say that it's all about business because fans don't understand business. If it's about business, then the business is that the Florida Marlins, Miami Marlins have already won 2 World Series championships. If it's about business, ladies and gentlemen, then the Arizona Diamondbacks have already won a World Series. What have the Tampa Bay Rays done in the grand scheme of things? Yes, they've been competitive, but there have been so many times at the trading deadline where they had to make a move to get over the top, and they don't do it. That's the difference. That's why you should be happy to be a Bucs fan and a Lightning fan, because their ownership gives a care. They do everything it takes to make the team competitive and do whatever it takes to win. That's the reason why the Rays will never be supported in this town. It's ownership. Let me go back out to Harry the Greek here. That has been my whole presentation of this matter. When you have an owner that continually talks about how the fans don't support his multi-million-dollar hobby, because it is a hobby at the end of the day, it is. Because if you're not taking it seriously and you're not doing right by the fans are not going to support it.
My thoughts are your sentiments exactly. I mean, before I kind of disagreed with you on a lot of things until you explained it that way. I mean, look, guys, this team could have beat the Dodgers last year, okay? But they don't want to get off their wallet to put some offense on the field, okay? They just don't score runs. But talking about the Rays, by the way, it's the bottom of the 9th, and they're up 6-4 now. They actually came back, so they started to throw a little bit. Right when you started going off on your rant, they went ahead in the game. I was just watching in the corner. But let's be real. They get rid of all their really good players. They have a plethora of arms in the minor leagues.
Hmm.
Okay, they have really, really good players. This team went to the World Series not because of their offense, because of their defense and their pitching. Okay, and they have a very good core of players, but they just need to surround them with some marquee players that can hit the ball.
Yep.
Okay, a good DH, someone to protect somebody. I mean, as a Reno, there's I mean, I can't even pronounce the guy's name. You can pitch around him anytime you want. You know what I mean? There's just not enough sticks on this team.
Sure.
But they got to do something with the ownership. But fans, be really careful what you wish for. There's many markets in this country that would love to have a losing baseball team, let alone the Tampa Bay Rays, because there's plenty of markets that don't even have one major league team. Okay?
Yeah.
Not one.
Yeah. And I'll leave you with this. At the end of the day, I'll go full screen again. If this team is not willing to invest in themselves, then why do you think fans would invest in them? And if you're the owner of the Tampa Bay Rays and you've come out and you can do research on this, guys, and basically said, I'm a Mets fan, then what would make me change my mind about being a Rays fan when you have Yankees, Red Sox, Blue Jays, White Sox, people that are fans of their teams? Why would I change my allegiance when the owner that owns the Tampa Bay Rays is not willing to change his?
I agree. Look, man, it's not a hidden secret. I'm a huge diehard Chicago White Sox fan, but I'm also a huge Rays fan. It's okay to be a fan of the Mets. No one ever said you only could support one team, but how about supporting the town that you live in? Okay. But then again, what has this ownership done for the people? What has this ownership done for the community other than complain that he lost $1 million? I'm sorry, he's only worth $200 million more. Give me a break and cry me a river. If you're going to go, beat the streets and get out of here if that's what it's going to be. But you know what, Tampa? It'll be a long time before you find another baseball team, if you ever get one. Because I remember before the Rays came here, you know what team was supposed to come to Florida, don't you?
The Chicago White Sox in 1986, and at the 12th.
Do you know why they didn't come?
Because at the 12th hour, they passed the resolution to build the new Comiskey Park. And at the end
there you go.
I always feel like this with this stadium situation, right? It's going to have to get to a 12th hour, or you're going to have an approaching city. And at the end of the day, Stu can say all day long he wants a half a season, but what he really truly wants is Montreal or somebody to make a play for them. And then once that team makes once a city makes a play for them, then I think that's where the city of St. Pete and Tampa gets serious. But it also,
what the hell is Montreal going to offer?
Hold
on,
baseball team.
They had one. They had the Expos, and where'd they go to?
They average the same amount of fans that the Rays are doing right now. It's 17,000 in their long term of being the Expos,
right? But
in Montreal.
But they didn't support that team up there.
I agree.
So he's going to have to pay more taxes up there, for Christ's sakes, up there in Canada. That's what I don't get with what the ownership is doing here. I'm not going to try to get off on any more of a tangent about it, but shame on the ownership, shame on the fans. Everybody has a little bit to blame for on it, but the ownership I would blame even more than the fans. The fans can't support an owner that doesn't want to support the communities or even support to say, hey, we're going to try to retain these players. Okay. Yeah, they're just not. They're just not. You can hate me for that comment, whatever it is, but the people that are listening to the show, that we're right about this.
Oh, yeah.
100%.
Absolutely. We're right about it. And we're on with Harry the Greek, my professional handicapper, talking the baseball situation, the economics, if you will, of baseball. And look, if you're trying to build a new stadium and you're not at least coming halfway, you're making the whole city pay for it yourself. That's not going to work either. That's not how it works these days. Coming off a pandemic, you're trying to get a new baseball stadium.
No, it's not just that, Peter. If the fans actually supported, now hold on. If the fans actually supported this team because the ownership was doing something for the community and making it worthwhile, I don't have a problem with the city or the county or both cities chipping in to build a stadium. Okay, they do it for every other major league team.
Sure.
But that's just being a little greedy. Now you want your cake and eat it too. If you want to suck, Why don't you play in a sucky stadium? But FYI, I don't see anything wrong with the Trop. People can complain whatever they want about. Put me in the Trop any single day of the week, and it's 72 degrees inside of there. You can see the ball at every corner. There's not a bad seat in the house. It's a lot of fun to go to. I mean, what else do you want? Oh, I'm sorry. The beaches are too close. Is one of the comments over here that I've alluded to already, and that's why they don't fill up fans. Give me a break, man. I mean, in Chicago, they fill up the north side every single day, and they got the beaches right around the corner.
Well, there's more tradition with that team. There's not a lot of tradition with this team. The tradition of this team is to basically have their star players for a couple of years and then eventually sell them off.
They've been to the World Series just as many times, and they haven't been around for maybe a third of the years.
But here's the thing with the Cubs, right? The Cubs win the World Series. Who did they win it with? Joe Madden. Why did Joe Madden leave? Why did he end up leaving? For money. Let me go out to the phone lines. Rob, welcome to the Evolution. You're on with yours truly, along with my professional handicapper, Mr. Harry the Greek. What do you have to say?
Harry the Greek, what do you think about Roy Williams retiring and also UConn women being down by 10 in women's college basketball?
Go for it.
I would love to answer that question, but I do not follow women's basketball. I am really sorry. You could take me off the full screen. I'm going to kind of just be a little embarrassed on that one. I am really sorry. I'd love to give you a concise answer, but I don't follow.
I will say this about Roy Williams. Congratulations to him, because he has had a historical career with all the winning in basketball that he's had with North Carolina and Kansas. Unbelievable career. Good for him to retire. It's a big loss for college basketball in general. It's a big loss for the North Carolina Tar Heels. So good for him. As far as UConn being down by 10, how many more minutes in the game?
The rest of the about 3 minutes left to go in the third quarter, and then the whole fourth quarter. So, Pete, great show tonight.
Third quarter, you mean the second half there, Rob? Good job.
Second half. Yes, sir.
All right, second half. Well, okay. It could be over. It could be curtains for UConn basketball, women's basketball. Good stuff.
Only down by 10?
Yeah, only down by 10, Harry.
Yeah, they're down by 10 in 3 minutes. Yeah.
Happy Easter, brother. Happy Easter. Although Greek Easter, which is a Christian Easter.
Yeah.
Although Greek Easter is a Christian Easter, they do follow the old calendar. Believe it or not, it's a month from now.
Really?
Okay. Yes, it is. It's going to be, I think, the 2nd of May. I think that's when the Sunday is. And in 4 years, it'll fall on the same date. It's kind of cool. I get to celebrate not one, but 2 Easters.
Very nice. All right, let's go out to David here. They had Lynch playing special teams. It wasn't very special in playing those special teams, obviously, because he was cut after 2 games. They never signed any of their good players. That would be the Rays. Sitton says, when the Tampa Bay Rays move to Tampa, it will be sold out every game. Not sure about that.
Hogwash.
Because they have beaches to go to. Season is long to waste a beautiful Florida day. But again, if it's a good baseball, if you make it an event, I've gone over this. If you lower the tickets down, if you make it like the weekend on the weekdays, people will come out. And they don't. And the narrative is, well, the Rays never draw. That's not true. They draw on the weekends. Why? Because they make it an event. That's right. Major League Baseball gets on its knees and opens its mouth to political BS. I ain't going to talk about that, but I get what you're saying. I'm still a Rays fan, just like the Bucs, for better or worse. Mesador says Chicago doesn't even have one NFL team. Ouch. Rick H says Bucs aren't paying AB what he wants. Too much downside. Sitton says over under Buccaneers running back. I think he's talking about over under who's more likely at this point on April 2nd, Harry, in your opinion, to have 1,000 yards? Is it the victim of volume in a Ronald Jones? Is it a Leonard Fournette? Or possibly if both of those running backs get hurt, knock on wood, a Keyshawn Vaughn?
Definitely not a Keyshawn Vaughn. And I would love to tell you the victim of volume, even though he's a better running back. But I honestly think they signed Leonard Fournette because they promised him that they were going to be the bell cow. That's just my opinion. So unless there's going to be an injury, I'm going to have to say Leonard Fournette will probably end up getting 1,000 yards. But I don't even think he's going to get 1,000 yards. You know what? Scratch everything I just said. I mean, the victim of volume is just flat out a better runner. He's going to prove that he's the one who's going to get the more playing time, and he's the one who's going to get the 1,000 yards. And I'm going to bet over on that.
I like it. There you go. Harry the Greek right there. Good. That's what I'm talking about. All right, let's go on to Carl. Says St. Pete is not centrally located for the team. They need to be in Tampa. I agree with that. No disagreement on that. But if you want a new stadium, come halfway. And if they
What are you going to do? Put 1,000 more people in there for what? And it's going to cost millions and millions of dollars to do it. You know what, Tampa? Get off your lazy ass. Drive over the Howard Franklin or the Gandy. That's why you have 3 major arteries. I don't know if you knew that. It's a 15-minute drive from the airport to get to the stadium. 15 minutes. It takes you longer to walk around your block than it does to drive from Tampa Stadium to the Trop.
Yeah.
Give me a break. I mean, I've heard some ridiculous things.
Yeah.
Those are just excuses. Okay. If you put this team in Nashville, they would drive from Chattanooga to go see a baseball game in Nashville. And that's a 2.5-hour drive. I don't want to hear that.
But the
St.
point
Pete
is,
to Tampa.
the ownership hasn't changed, so they continue to squawk and do this and do that and do nothing for the community. That's the reason why the Rays won't draw.
Peter, I've also heard if they put this team in the middle of Orlando and Tampa, okay, in the I-4 corridor out there, so it's only an hour away from Orlando and a half an hour away from Tampa, that it'll drive in bigger crowds. No chance.
No, I don't see it. I think it's got to be centrally located in Tampa. In fact, it's got to be by Raymond James Stadium somewhere, in my opinion.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't think it's that far of a drive, Peter.
I don't think it's a far drive either, but I just think there's people out there with the gas prices going up, being able to stay at home. People don't talk about the ratings that the Rays draw. It's some of the highest in Major League Baseball. It's a big market. But once again, what's the reason for me coming out? Not only do I have to pay for a baseball ticket that could be somewhat overpriced. I get it. They're somewhat competitive with their prices, but still it's a lot.
They're pretty competitive price-wise, Peter.
I mean, think about it. If you go out to a baseball game, how much are you paying? $100? Over
you're paying in some cases you're paying more for a drink and a hot dog than you are for the ticket. Okay, which is what's ridiculous. The average Joe Blow, as you didn't allude, you stated a fact. A blue collar guy that's making $35,000 a year, who's got 2 kids, can't take his 2 boys or his boy and his girl out to the baseball game in the cheap seats way in the upper deck, okay, for less than $100 bill. But the tickets cost them $12 a piece. You can't. You can't. Cotton candy's $20 for Christ's sakes.
Right, but they're making money off of concessions. They're making money off of parking. You have to have the gas, and then you expect a person to show up to 81 games. And I always ask the people that say, 80, 81 games, whatever. I always ask them, how many games have you gone to? Well, I only went to 5 or 10. Well, that's not enough, according to Stu. You got to go to all these games. The 15 to 17,000 that you draw, that's not enough. Why? Because Stu wants more money out of the deal.
You know what? Keep your concession prices the same and give the tickets away. Pack up the stadium. You know what? Because when you make it synergistic, people are going to come. Let's talk about another team totally unrelated, okay?
Yeah.
Let's move hockey. Let's move over to hockey in Tampa, over in Tampa.
Sure.
You know what a beer cost there the last time I was there? And my wife likes to drink her Miller Lights. One draft was $20. Okay? $20. You want to talk about ridiculous pricing?
Yeah.
And the price of the tickets are expensive. But guess what? They pack every single time. Do you know why? Because the ownership knows how to retain his players. The ownership knows how to give back to the community. The ownership knows how to pay his employees that he's going to put on the ice. And people don't have a problem paying those prices, okay? As long as they have a competitive team.
Yep. It's faith. It's all about faith. It's great to talk about the Rays getting to the World Series, but you have faith that most likely they're not going to. In the same breath, you talk about the Bucs and the Lightning, you have faith that they're going to get back there because they want to compete.
Yeah.
Rays don't.
Yeah, no, I agree. Listen, Tampa's a really good team. They play defense and they got the pitching. They're going to keep doing that.
Sure.
But you know what? You want to win a World Series? You almost did last year. You just didn't have enough sticks. And Stu, shame on you for not just going to get them, especially at the trade deadline. All you had to do is have just one more offensive player, and you could have possibly won that World Series and not made the bonehead move and taken Snell out of that game. You remember what Roberto Hernandez said on the show on the over-under, don't you?
Yep.
That the Dodgers were doing cartwheels and backflips in the dugout, and they were clapping when Snell came out. It was like they won the game, and the game wasn't even over.
Yep.
I remember that. That's pitiful.
It is pitiful because Snell was dealing, and now, of course, he's with the San Diego Padres. So, once again, let's go out to Russell. If Suckup can get $4 million a year, then AB should get 7 to 8. Rick says Suckup is a top 3 kicker in the NFL. Whomever signs him will lose him in December. AB, I wouldn't pay AB any more than $3 to $4 million. You agree with that? I mean, that seems like the market. I mean, you have Sammy Watkins. They got about $4 or $5 million from the Ravens. Is that the going rate? And why is AB asking for more besides the obvious?
Because he's worth it.
Right.
Okay. Just that's the obvious. The man's worth it, in my opinion. Okay. I mean, but there's going to, he's kind of wore his welcome out, with teams in the National Football League because of his behavior and what has happened in his off the field issues. But you know what? He's been a model citizen this past year. I'd pay him up to $5 million. Hell, I'd probably even pay him $6 million. He's still the best route runner in all of football, bar none. There is no better. And you can't use Sammy Watkins as even. He's not even in the same zip code as Antonio Brown. Okay, right. I mean, let's be real. Sammy Watkins is a hell of a receiver, but he's not Antonio Brown. I mean, not even close.
No, and you look at the numbers.
Hell, you could ask Sammy Watkins if he's as good as Antonio Brown's, and he would tell you he's not.
I mean, the 32-year-old wideout earned $2 million for his half a season, per Mike Garafolo of the NFL Network. The Bucs would like to bring him back around that number, but AB would like something closer to market value. The veteran wide receiver market stretches from Deshaun Jackson, 1 year, 4.5. I don't know how Jackson gets 4.5. He did absolutely nothing. He got on the field for one play, and then he took a sneeze, and he was hurt. How does he get 4.5? I'm in the wrong business.
Just look at across the screen.
I'm in the wrong business.
That's because he can run. He does wind sprints, and he drops every pass that's thrown from him. So I guess $4 or $5 million's worth of it. By the way, little score update for you. We're going to go back to baseball. The Tampa Bay Rays did defeat the Miami Marlins 6-4. They did come back. Way to go, Rays. You started the season 2-0.
Good stuff there. Good news tonight out of Miami as they defeat the Miami Marlins, which, by the way, they got their new stadium, but they can't draw flies. You know why? Because their ownership is not committed, but they've won 2 World Series. Mm-hmm. But they had a guy like a Giancarlo Stanton. They got rid of him. The next year, they got their new stadium, and that's the reason why most likely the Rays are not going to get their new stadium because of that bad deal. You look into it, the taxpayers out there were absolutely bent over on a barrel. It was not good. All right. So Deshaun Jackson, $4.5 million. T.Y. Hilton, 1 year, $8 million. I don't think he's going to get $8 million, maybe somewhere in between a $5 million deal, in my opinion. And if not, then I would say, look, go and search and see if there's a deal out there for you. And if you think it's better, go for it. I still don't think Brown will be as successful as he would be with the Bucs, in my opinion.
Antonio Brown will be successful, in my opinion, anywhere that he goes, with the exception, can he stay out of trouble? And if he wants to leave Tampa for an extra $1 million, listen, if he was a guy on his first contract, getting his second one, I'm going to want that extra $1 million. The guy's made his money. Let's just be real, okay?
Yeah.
He's made his money. I don't think money is going to be as important as people are bringing it up. But I don't know this for a fact. I'm not Antonio Brown. I don't know Antonio Brown. I'll never profess to know it. But I think a man of his stature and the amount of money that he has, I'd sacrifice about $1 million to win with a chance of winning another Lombardi.
I agree, because if you stay clean another season and you don't get out of hand on the field or off of it, your value goes up. And then maybe the Bucs sign you to another deal. Who knows? Because the Bucs are generous at this point. All right, Lakeland isn't big enough draw for the Rays. That's halfway between Tampa and Orlando. And also where
that was my point.
Right. Russell says Juju took a $10 million cut and still got 8. Okay. We don't really know what exactly AB wants. Well, Christopher, we do know that there is some offers out there, and we do know, according to a report from Mike Garafolo of the NFL Network, that the Bucs and him are not financially matching up. We do know that. Me says the market for AB is shrinking, with Indy and Seattle re-signing their number ones. Only suitors left are the Ravens and the Bucs. Baseball is being funny. As long as the Cubs lose, baseball is good. Stop it.
Who said that?
Misador.
That's my boy
guy.
Right there.
That's your guy right there.
He's back. He's back in my good graces.
Yeah, I got this right here for you. Ravens, my bad, typo. It's easy for us to decide how the Bucs spend their money. I'm not speculating anymore about AB. I trust our GM to make the right roster decisions. Tim, that's what we do here on the Sports Web. I love when fans say, I'm tired of speculating. What is sports talk television? What is sports talk radio? It's speculation city.
Preach on, brother.
Goodness gracious. I hate that. Oh, I'm not going to speculate anymore. I trust Jason Light and Bruce Arians and Mike Greenberg and the Glazers, Tim.
My question is this. Why wouldn't you trust them? I mean, really think about what has happened this year.
I like to speculate. What's wrong with speculation? That's a bad word here on the Sports Web now?
No, I wouldn't say it's a bad word, but what would make you even doubt what this team, what this management staff can even do? I mean, let's be real here. I'm not trying to wave my pom-poms and jump up and down and go in Tampa Bay. I'm not doing that. But what Jason Light has done with this management staff is unlike anything I have ever seen. I just haven't. First off, you're talking about athletes.
Mm-hmm.
They're the most competitive people there are. So you've got a management staff that has to control everybody's personality. Now try controlling that personality after it's won the Super Bowl, which a player already knows he's the best at his position. That's why he's playing. Now give him a Super Bowl title. His ego couldn't fit through the door if it was a barn door. And they managed to re-sign every player that they wanted. The only one that's left is Antonio Brown. I listen, I was wrong with Godwin because they can't keep Godwin and possibly sign Shaq Barrett.
No.
They shot me in the ass. They signed Barrett and Godwin. Oh, they can't keep Levante David and keep Shaq Barrett. No, they keep Godwin, Barrett, and Levante David. Surely they can't keep Sue. There's no way. Oh, they kept Sue, Godwin, Barrett, Levante David. It just keeps going on and on and on. I was like, there ain't no way they're keeping Leonard Fournette. He's leaving. He wants to be the bell cow. Wait a minute. He just took the biggest ego on the entire team.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And made him fit through that little itty bitty door and told him what he wanted to hear. And he's coming back to play for another Lombardi. So what the hell are people even thinking that they can't sign Antonio Brown? Listen, I got over on that one. Way over that they're signing Antonio Brown because I have been wrong about every single signing. I thought they could only sign 2 of the 5. They signed all 5.
Yes. They signed all 5, and they signed Nacho, and they signed Gronk.
Hold on, I'm not done.
Yeah,
they signed Suck Up.
Yeah.
Well, you can thank Ray Kennedy for that. He was the cheerleader begging for the leg, whatever it was.
Yeah, well, he was begging for the leg in that cheerleader outfit. By the way, showing those guns. That's not a good look, Tampa Bay Ray. Go ahead, resume.
But I mean, what would make you think that this team can't sign Antonio Brown? They've kept every single player. I think I'm correct when I say that both teams are at a little bit of an impasse. The pundits don't have anything to talk about, so they have to make up some stories. They're just waiting to free up a little bit more cap space because the draft is right around the corner, and they're going to try to accommodate and meet him as close to what he's needing. I do not believe in my heart that Antonio Brown is leaving. That's just my opinion.
All right. Well, I tell you, I hope you're right this time about it. Let's see here. Misador says, Tim, AB is a luxury. It'd be nice, but he's not really needed. Tim
exactly
says agreed. Rick says the rumor is AB wants $8 to $9 million. Bucs wants to pay him $2 to $3. Tim says, I love getting yelled at. Good stuff. I'll give you the Ric Flair woo on that because I love yelling at you, but it's really not yelling. I love Tim. Tim has been a part of the Sports Web for a long time. Guys, that's passion. That's what we bring here. You can yell at me. I can yell back at you. Again, just be respectful. But I got to get like that because I hear that word speculation, and it's almost like a bad word on the Sports Web. Guys, that's what we do. That's what I do. I speculate in my sleep. I would do this show at 2, 3 o'clock in the morning with all the thoughts that I have with running in my head all the time, thinking about football. Every post I see, bring AB back. Christopher Cole, that's what we all do is speculate. It's awesome. Thank you. Webheads, you can speculate. I am never going to sit here and tell you that you're not right. Now, if you say that, Tom Brady is washed up and we should go out and speculate about trading for a quarterback, something along those lines, that's totally different. But speculation is the fun of it, okay? That's what we do here. So let's go out to Pac-Man 504. If AB wants number 2 wide receiver type, got to let him go, period. Misador says AB spells humble or me.
Never mind.
Well,
next.
I thought you were talking about the mumbling or mumble rap that AB puts out there, which is atrocious. Please stay a wide receiver, not a rapper. It's go on YouTube, kids, if you want to see it. Way to jinx it, Harry. Russell.
I don't know what I jinxed.
I don't know. AB did what he did in 6 games, which basically is the first 2 games he hadn't gotten adjusted yet. So 4 games. Amazing, right? Still haven't restructured Evans or Brait. We can free up quite a bit there. Pac-Man 504 is saying, I'm going to go with Tyler and Scotty if AB wants more money. And there's been a lot of people that said that. I love me some Scotty Miller, and I definitely love Tyler Johnson. We talked about this a couple of years ago when I interviewed the kid out the Outback Bowl. And when I was asking him questions about why should a GM draft you, talk about this coach, talk about this, what you can bring to the team. And he was right on the money. He was on point. And I feel like the future is bright for this kid. But once again, if you can get a veteran presence like an AB or even a Fitzpatrick, or excuse me, a Fitzgerald. Is it Larry? It's Larry Fitzgerald. Fitzpatrick.
It's late.
It's getting late. Larry Fitzgerald. Then maybe you go for it. But again, I don't want to stop the development of these wide receivers. Let me read another comment here, and then I think we're going to end this for the night. My comment wasn't meant to be directed at your speculations. I'm personally over the AB speculations. I think he'll be back. We'll see, I guess.
That's what we said.
No matter what, Tim, I love you any way it goes. Thanks a lot for the support. As always, you've been with us here through and through, and I really appreciate that. Appreciate everybody tuning into the show. And
hey, Misador just threw a comment out there. That's pretty good. And so does Smilegate.
Jensen will be the next to restructure. Bucs extend him 2 years, can free up around 5.5.
I actually heard that.
Well, we'll see. If we have that, more than likely you'll see the Bucs make a move. You can't restructure Mike's contract. He already did a restructuring in 2019, so there's no cap relief. I will never, Smilegate, rule out anything the Bucs and Jason Light and Mike Greenberg will be able to accomplish. All right, Harry the Greek, let me get you out of here. Final thoughts on this extravaganza of the evolution.
My final thoughts are, as Misador, you got to turn to the dark side, please. And I think you know exactly what I'm talking about. But you know what? Really, Peter, I appreciate you having me on. Bucs Report, you guys are awesome. Really appreciate the platform you've given me to go ahead and talk about a little bit of gambling and some of the fun things that we get to do on a daily basis. We love sports. We love betting. We love everything about it. You can catch me on Wednesday nights on the over-under at 9 o'clock with either Peter Blake and or Mr. Tampa Bay Best of the Bay, Ray Kennedy. And you could probably see me on a couple of different shows, just like the Great Sports Web.
Absolutely good stuff here. Let me go out to Misador responding to you. I'm a Six fan, but a Pirates fan first. A Sox fan. I think that's what he's saying. So he's a Sox fan. Really quick, Final Four this weekend. Who do you like and why? We're not going to see you until next Wednesday. So who wins it all? Over unders. Give me the odds here on all these teams in the Final Four.
I have that for you right here, Mr. Peter Blake.
Good stuff.
The Final Four. First off, you can take Gonzaga and lay the 14 points that they're favored by. I'm giving it to you on your show. Just lay the 14 points. They're going to win by 25 or 30 in this game. I mean, they're just that good.
Wow.
The other team, Lord, Houston's playing Baylor. Baylor, I tell you what, you can play Baylor and Gonzaga, both favorites. And I don't like to play favorites, but lay the points when you're playing them, meaning if they're only favored by 14 points, Gonzaga has to win by 14. But in the final, I'm going to have to say Gonzaga. But if the team that can beat them would be Baylor, but I just think Gonzaga's destined. They're going to have an undefeated season this year. They're just unbelievable. All
right. On that note, thanks a lot to my professional handicapper, Mr. Harry the Greek, for your time here on the evolution of Sports Talk Television, the Sports Web, brought to you by Advanced Auto Parts. All right, boss?
You're the greatest, man. Thank you very much. We'll talk soon. Double deuces. We'll see you tomorrow.
All right, man. Appreciate you. There you go. Harry the Greek on with us. We'll read the rest of these comments. Christopher Cole says, great show, guys. Thanks a lot for working through your headache. Appreciate that. And Aubrey says, how important is this draft for our franchise on a scale from 1 to 10? I would say, look, every draft is important, Aubrey, at this point, but not as important because the Bucs are still Super Bowl champions. As far as depth, yeah, I would say a 5 or a 6. You still got to draft well because at the end of the day, these players are getting no younger, and that's why I think they go either edge or defensive tackle, but who knows? At the end of the day, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are still the world champions, Super Bowl champions. So this draft, not as important as it has been in previous years. So thanks to all the guests here. Mr. Dennis Phillips, of course, Harry the Greek, Mr. Gene Thomas, Buck, which you heard. Check out all the great shows here on Bucs Report. Of course, Rick Hughes, I believe, on tomorrow night, What's Cooking in the South, and on Sunday from the Cheap Seats. Check out both of those shows at 9 o'clock live here on Bucs Report, and keep it locked here because we got new shows coming out on midnight. Just a little preview. So without further ado, it's almost early on this Easter weekend, Saturday morning. 2-3 things for me. You ready? Bring your passion, bring your excitement. Just don't bring any nonsense. I'm your host, Peter Blank. Have a great weekend. See you on Monday night on the Advanced Auto Parts Sports Web, live on Bucs Report. See you later.